So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Boris Johnson's struggles to actually give any Brexit benefits. It's not surprising, is it really, that this is the case? Jacob Rees-Mogg is struggling at the moment. He's come up with fish fingers, cheese, and all sorts of other nonsense. The distance of signs, madness. So Johnson famously led the campaign to take the UK out of the EU, but on the 6-year anniversary of the vote, his team struggled to come up with ways the country is better off. I mean, the only thing they have are lies, which is crazy. It said, "We're committed to realising the benefits of Brexit," the Prime Minister's spokesperson Jamie Davies told reporters when asked to identify the biggest gains from divorcing from the UK's biggest trading partner. He said, "The new trade deals, which are garbage, 0.02% at best, the Bill of Rights, which takes away some of our rights, a plan to repeal laws inherited from the EU, so deregulation, which, if the government go through with it, you're going to have sparkling wine bottles that are made in that are fermented in plastic, which will make them potentially explosive." So that sounds like a huge win. And these are just examples. You've got cheaper fish fingers and cheese because they would have been more expensive because of the physical checks that we would have to do because of Brexit. I mean, these people are just scrambling at this point. Those slim pickings are part of the reason Johnson is in such political trouble. I don't think it's those. I don't think it's the Brexit issue that's really put him in trouble. I think it's the Partygate stuff, along with the kind of rampant illicit kind of scandals really impacting the Tories, alongside various scandals, as even some Brexit supporters have become disillusioned with how the project is turning out. And again, what did these Brexiteers want? That's the key question. What did they want originally? And why has it gone wrong? Those are the questions to ask them. Take those vaunted trade deals, the bulk of which are simply rollover, like-for-like agreements designed to maintain what the UK has as an EU member, had. And also, let's not forget here that the trade deals, the rollover trade deals, contained provisions that said we would uphold EU standards. The UK had to go through the entire UK-Ukraine deal, for example, and have to try and rewrite it because it was, they cut and paste it, so it'd be up to EU standards rather than UK standards. So if we tried to deregulate, we'd violate our own trade deals. Even the new pacts, including Australia and New Zealand, plus ongoing negotiations with India, are expected to have a marginal impact on the size of the UK economy. And again, if a trade deal with India doesn't add much to our GDP, which I don't think it would do for a lot of reasons, I mean, what's the point of this whole exercise then? At this point, if we're making trade deals that are garbage, what's the point of this? The OBR says the UK is taking a 4% hit to our GDP from Brexit. That could be far higher because, again, the government aren't dealing with this at all. Meanwhile, the Bill of Rights referred to by Davies is unrelated to Brexit because our European Court of Human Rights membership association with the ECHR is not dependent on Brexit. It is part of the Good Friday Agreement, but again, it's nothing to do with the EU. Not the Good Friday Agreement, but our membership, our partnership in it, I guess. It will allow the UK to ignore rulings from the ECHR, but the ECHR is a separate institution from the EU. That's something Suella Braverman doesn't appear to understand, and I'll talk about that at some point as well. The UK's plan to repeal EU law is still in its infancy, and the government is asking the public to use a website to identify which rules they want to scrap. I mean, you're just asking the public to do your homework, especially given the public don't actually know much about EU laws. You got people talking about kettles, vacuum cleaners, bats in attics, etc. It's just wild. Doing things differently from the EU has been mooted as a potential upside of Brexit, but also carries risks. If regulations in the UK and EU are different, companies may have to make products to different specifications to access both markets, and services may face extra red tape. They will face extra red tape because they'll have to prove that their goods are completely up to EU standards if the UK chooses to deregulate. And also the fact that companies will either have to set up 2 supply lines, one for Great Britain and one for the EU plus Northern Ireland, or they'll just have it up to EU standards anyway, so deregulation will just add more costs to them without giving them anything. Davies declined to comment on whether Brexit had left British firms facing more or fewer trade barriers. I mean, it has done more trade barriers, definitely. Quitting the single market and customs union means they have to file additional paperwork when sending goods to the EU. It obviously has added additional trade barriers because those barriers didn't exist before. The government's aim is to remove as many trade barriers as possible, Davies said, but we haven't done that. Even the fact that the EU have a deal with New Zealand, which is far better than the UK deal with New Zealand, tells you everything you need to know about the possibilities of getting trade deals. Yes, the EU is slower because there's far more actors in play for when the EU does a trade deal, but because of the amount of people and the purchasing power within the EU, it gives the EU a lot more leverage in trade negotiations, so in the end they get a much better deal. The spokesperson cited the UK's efforts to reduce the customs burden on goods crossing the Irish Sea to Northern Ireland, a burden that exists because of the Brexit trade deal that Johnson signed. So one of the benefits is that they're going to reduce paperwork travelling between GB to NI, even though before Brexit there was no paperwork needed for goods going from GB to NI. Can anyone square the circle for me here? Because I'm struggling. I'm genuinely struggling. Brexit jokes. In typical fashion, Johnson takes a pop at the EU, saying, I remember the UK helped to found the European Free Trade Area many years ago, and then which then got taken over by something called the European Union. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Prime Minister at the time was clear that the EU would be a political institution and it would lead to further integration. He said, I don't necessarily advise, by the way, that you turn the Africa Free Trade Area into a single currency, but I leave that wholly to you. I mean, there are drawbacks and there are pros and cons of having kind of a united currency. It makes things easier to trade because you're not dealing with lots of different currencies, but at the same time, being in control of your own currency does give you certain levers that you wouldn't have if you have like a shared currency, if that makes sense. You have to read modern monetary theory and a load of other stuff to really make sense of it all. It's very confusing. As Britain's emerged from the pandemic to a cost of living crisis, which is so much fun right now, many economists say Brexit is not helping. The risk for Johnson is that his trademark jokes and bullishness are falling increasingly flat, and at the end of the day, people don't care about your jokes, your culture war and all that nonsense when they're struggling to make ends meet. You know, what they want is a solution to the rising fuel bills, the rising energy costs, etc. And the simple fact is the British government just aren't cutting the mustard right now. And it's just really sad. It's honestly just really sad. But does it surprise anyone? Really? Boris Johnson's always shirked responsibility. He wants the prestige of being Prime Minister, but without the work. He'd rather be just having jollies with random women, apparently. But look, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. If you got any Brexit benefits, put them in the comments below and we'll discuss them. Support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.